So, whomsoever it may concern, I mean, like me and Snehil, we are recording this video for prospective intern students who would be looking for their interns. The way we have planned this out is I'll be giving a small presentation on how to secure research internships. Snehil would be observing me, and then he would be asking questions which a prospective intern student would have. And then he'd say something about his own experience and what he has to say about civil engineering, and maybe I'll have some questions to ask. I mean, like we'll have sort of a discussion about how things go about. So without any more time, let's start. Let's go for the first slide. Hello, everyone. The second slide is hello, I'm Anshul Yadav. I'm a fourth year undergrad enrolled in the BTMT dual degree program, Department of Civil Engineering. And as a part of my thesis, I work with the Geoinformatics group under Dr. Salim Goel. So moving on, first of all, a very important note and a very important slide. I just want to mention that the views mentioned here are my own, and they're like my perspective, like an opinion, which you should respect. And they're a product of my experience, and the ideas may not work as well for you. You need to use your discretion, and I hope Snail would agree with me.
I agree
the
with
ideas
that.
which he'll mention as well might not work for you.
Even the ideas I would be mentioning would be.
Moving on to the next slide, we have. Yeah. We have our own set of disclaimer, right?
Yeah.
So starting on with the general guidelines, first of all, I'll answer the question, where did I intern? So during my third year summer, I interned at the Zachary Department of Civil Engineering, Texas A&M University. I secured my internship through the IIT Tamu Summer Exchange Program, which happens through the OIR office from IIT Kanpur. You'll get a mail about it. Next, we'll talk about the general process which a prospective research intern student has to face. So in my opinion, there are two broad ways in which you secure a research internship. First is through a research internship programs dedicated for just this, or you send application mails to professors whose work interests you, and then you send mail to them, and then you ask for an opening. Advantages for a research internship program include that the procedure is quite fixed. There is no chaotic factors there which can influence the selection procedure, and there's no lack of funding issue. Mostly you will mail to a professor and they'll say that they do not have enough funds to support an internship candidate. That does not happen in research internship programs. And also there is a specific date of result declaration. So you'll know if you got selected or not. When you mail a professor, chances are you may never receive a reply, much less an affirmative one. The disadvantages also stem from, their popularity, so to say. I mean, like everyone knows about them, so everyone applies to them, and hence the selection criterions become very stringent, so to speak. I mean, like they'll demand high academic caliber from you, or maybe publications, something, because you can understand this in a way that many people around the globe would be applying to the same program and maybe under the same professor. So, I mean, like they hate to do it, but they have to make a selection, right? So they'll choose the best out of bit tricky in my opinion. But then the advantage is that you don't face a direct competition. I mean, like there would not be a lot of students mailing to a specific professor which you chose. And also, if you're really good in a field, the professor might overlook some of some of the conditions, like good academic CPA or something. If you're really well suited to the kind of work which professor is trying to undertake. The disadvantage is that there are a lot of factors which influence your selection or rejection in this case. The things like there are not enough funds, I am not willing to do work because I already have a lot of PhD students. These kind of things, play a major role in sending application mails to professors. So moving on to the next slide, we have a specific general set of skills which are required. I mean, like, this is not a hard fast rule, but I mean, like, the thing is, in research internships sphere, things are very uncertain. I mean, like, you get rejected on the slightest thing, and by stroke of luck, you may get selected. So we never know. This is what I would advise you to have in the matter of general skills required. First of all, have a very good CPI. I mean, CPI cutoff for various programs is quite high, 8 and 8.5, for instance. So chances are you may not be allowed to apply even if your CPI is less than the minimum cutoff which they require. And also, after you apply, good CPI is really important. I mean, like, some seniors would disagree on this, but CPI is probably the most important number, so to speak, but not the only important number for sure. Next thing, try to do some research professors in the areas which interest you. If you get a publication or a conference or something, that would be decent. That would add to your profile, right? Next, doing projects and scoring good in courses builds your CPI, builds your experience, and also it builds your reputation with the professors. So when you'll be asking for letters from professors, they won't deny. And LORs are absolutely essential for applying to programs as well as securing in research. LORs are, the silver bullet. Next, make a CV which illustrates professionalism. You don't have to include your PORs. They only want to see what is useful to them. So only include what is absolutely essential to your research profile and write in it. It may be a Coursera or something of a kind, self-project, in fact. You can include it if it is very relevant to the field. Take help from your seniors which had succeeded, I mean, like, if someone goes through a program and gets selected in previous years, do take their opinion. They'll probably be able to guide you very good specifically. So next, this is a table which, has major programs listed into it. I'll just let you read it. So moving on to the next slide, these are some do's and don'ts for apping. So what I mentioned earlier is a basic general guideline for both, which works well for both research programs as well as apping. These are some instructions which are very specific to apping. Apping in the sense mail to professors, right? So first of all, schedule your email. I mean, you'll be applying to professors all around the world, and due to time zone differences, you need to land into their inbox at the right time, just when they are checking it. They might just miss your mail. So schedule your email so that it reaches to around 8, 9 a.m. local time wherever you are applying. All right. Second, do not use a general mail template. I cannot stress this point enough, but do not use a general mail template because professors have been getting thousands of emails every year. So they know, all right, if you're genuinely interested or you're not. So what I would say is read about the papers to get an idea of their recent work, all right? And then structure an email around it if you like their work. Tell him how you would be a good fit to which he's doing, all right? He or she is doing based on your knowledge in the field. That would have better chances of you getting selected. Never use a script to write if, or I should say when you will get caught, you would face disastrous repercussions. Also, it tarnishes the dignity of our institute. So say if your junior wants to apply to the same professor, but you use the script, it's caught. So he'll probably reject it just because he thinks that IITK students use scripts. I mean, that is very demeaning. And there are mixed views on whether or not to use an e-tracker. An email tracker is basically an application which tells you whether the recipient, has received and he or she has seen your mail or not. To some professors, it would be very debating that as to whether the recipient gets to know the email tracker is used or not. That is altogether a different issue, and he probably gets to know, and then it can tarnish your chances. So I would say just be safe and use a discretion. Next slide. Yeah, more advice. Being a helpful senior, I'll not probably. So I would say focus on your courses a lot because no matter you get a good CPI. Explore a lot of research areas, particularly where recent work is being carried out. Sometimes you choose an obscure field where no one is working. So if no one is working, no one will hire you. So read a lot of papers, listen to conference proceedings, and just be acquainted with the kind of work happening all around. And if you find something interesting, stick to it. Find out what you would like to, which in early is going to help you a lot. You know, if you gain basic skills in the area and then do a precise hunt for the right professor, your chances of getting selected are very high. So, I mean, like, I didn't know what I wanted to work in, and that severely hampered my chances for sure. So, as early as you can get to know what interests you and what you would like to work in, that's going to be better for you. Make a concise list for professors. Uh, yeah, next slide. So, make a concise list of professors who work in the area of your research interest. Read through their recent works and prune your list as much as possible. You know, so it's like if you get 6 hours to chop down a tree, spend the first four sharpening your axe. So you need to be very precise for the professors you are trying to mail, professors who would be really interested in your profile, so to speak. So just make a concise list so that you're like a sniper rifle, not a sporadic shotgun. And if you're not 100% sure about making a career in research, please do not take SPO interns. Please sit in them. I cannot stress this point enough. Like, I was a fool not to sit in SPO interns. It really, really was a disaster. It was terrible for me. So having an SPO intern as a backup is good. All right. So even if you do not land into a good research intern, you can always have SPO intern in hand. Next slide, there's a word of caution. There can still be a chance that you do everything right and you still get selected anyway. Not because you aren't good enough, just that a lot of factors are there which are beyond your control. Don't let it deter you from research because research internships are not very crucial for building, a career in research. It goes a long way. You still have your masters, you still have your PhD work and yada, 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 a lot of things. So don't let a research internship failure deter you from doing research. Next slide, I'll talk a little bit about my experience. So in my third year summers, I went to Texas A&M University, and my work was in the Miller GeoEco Hydrology Lab as a part of the Drainage Reuse Initiative project. So basically, what we were trying to do was to enrich the soil of a detention basin in Houston. So detention basins are large ponds where you store water when you and use it when you need them. It would have stabilized the irregularities which were caused by floods and droughts in that area. Like there were frequent floods and droughts. So it was like basically building a water storage tank, a large natural water storage tank. So I usually worked about 6 to 8 hours in the lab and also went on field visits to Houston for sample collection drives. There were no restrictions on the in and out hours. My professor, she was really sweet, Dr. Miller, and she gave me all the freedom to work as much or as little as I want. Now, this is a double-edged sword, When you get the freedom to work as much or as little you want, I would really say think about what the work would be for you. I mean, like I did not, yeah, I should not say this, but then I did not work enough, I feel. And we were really lucky to get a conference proceeding out of it in the AGU winter conference, which was being held in San Francisco. We were really lucky, and yeah, otherwise, yeah, it would have been a terrible mess. Next, I have some pictures of me roaming around in Texas. First, we have a picture with my very wonderful flatmates, Daniel and Vishal. I did not yeah, I did not know cooking before I went to the United States, and Daniel taught me everything, so to speak. Like I would have, died of starvation if not for him. Next slide, we have some pictures from the wonderful Texas. We have the U.S. State Capitol building in the second picture, which is there in Austin. Then we have an old Paramount Theater, which they still, show 1900 movies, so to speak. Then we went on kayaking, etc. And yeah, let's move to the next slide and talk a little bit about the Sakura Science Program where I went to, or in the December 2019, the winters. So it was not an, in stricter terms, an internship, so to speak. It was more of a training program offered by the University of Tokyo. We got acquainted with the aspect of disaster management in engineering, in civil engineering particularly. We had multiple visits to leading public and private research institutions like Japanese Railways, Kajima National Research Technical Institute, and then we had training sessions from various departments from the University of Tokyo as well. And Japan is awesome, I was soft corner for Japan just because the people there are very nice. Moving on, I have some pictures for the awesome Japanese food. And like, if I have to describe the Japanese food in just a phrase, I would say it's weird, but it is worth trying. And yeah, I just have a wonderful memory of Japan in my heart, so maybe that's why I'm blabbering so much. Next, yeah, before I forget, the best thing about the Sakura program was exclusive to civil engineering students only. So I mean, like, you don't find a lot of research internship programs which are exclusive to civil engineering students only. So this was one such program. So yeah, shout out to all the civil engineering guys. You can really apply to this and get to travel to Japan. And with that, I rest my case. Thanks, best of luck, and happy applying. If you have any questions, you can connect to me on Facebook if you wish. And I know the presentation was far from perfect, but still, I hope you get the idea.
Now
So,
I'll be asking some questions which I had, and I think the one who would be watching the video will also have these questions. So, question number one: what if
yeah,
my
sure, go ahead.
CPI is not above 8 and I am genuinely interested in research? What should I do in that case?
Yeah. So first thing first, you should read a lot about the recent research work which is going on, and if something interests you, hold on to that. Like, read a lot about it and find professors who are working in the area, you know, do some reading, some projects, and some self projects, and some reading about the professor and the kind of work he's or she is doing, and then mail the professor. Like, if you do not have a great CPI, do not bother about research internship programs. They're anyway not going to take you. So your option, your silver bullet there is mailing to professors. To find the right professor and convince him or her that you are a right fit to the kind of work which he's doing, and in that way you can land to a research internship.
Okay, so another question which I think I have: do the courses which we are taught here in the undergrad program, are they enough so that to get a level of that level of knowledge to actually get into research?
Absolutely not. I'm like,
And
the
what
thing is,
extra should we do
in
to actually
undergraduate,
what extra should we do?
yeah. So as far as civil engineering undergraduate program is concerned, we are basically taught the basics of. I mean, like, civil engineering is vast, so I cannot comprehend a lot of it. What I would suggest you to do is get a hold on your area of interest. Like, once you find it, very quickly it becomes really easy. Then you can build your knowledge in the specific area which you want to work upon. And it's a general notion that various areas in civil engineering fields are really boring, but that's not the case. I mean, like, I know it, you know it, but the thing is, most of the students do not know. So, like, I've been working on automatic UAVs for quite some time now, and Snehil here is working on satellites. I mean, like, that's awesome, right? So people work on artificial neural networking. They use it in hydrology, and then people do all kind of stuff, there are people working on automated cars at this moment who are related to the field of geoinformatics, and the people building, conventional civil engineering is also there. To be honest, I mean, in the areas of building new resilient materials. And there was a professor who said to me that with all the buildings being old now, they all need maintenances. So you have to figure out really clever ways of maintaining them to keep the structural integrity, which would be a great field. So there are a lot of interesting fields. Just do not outright reject civil engineering. Just try and see, if something interests you.
So another thing I wanted to ask, would you want to speak about on the research program which our IIT Kanpur has, iSearch? Do you want to tell something about search here? Since there would be people who would be
Yeah.
applying to search.
So yeah, sure. So the thing is, apart from this presentation, because I do not cover a lot of material here in the presentation, I've written a document which really encompasses my journey. I hope the counseling service shares it with you. So I've mentioned about Surge in there and how Surge played a pivotal role in me deciding research and taking up research as my career. So Surge here is a nice first step to get into the research, where you have to make a poster by the end of it, a research poster. So you do a lot of work so that you can put it on a poster and you can display it. And then on the day when you present the poster, it is really a feeling of pride, which I must say that you'll be presenting your research work which you did. You worked really hard for 2 months and now you're showing it off to people. And that is a wonderful feeling. So in that perspective, Surge is really good. And the other thing is, if by the time you apply for Surge, you know what you want to do. I mean, like, you're really interested into something and you find the right professor in Surge, then you can take on that project in the next semester and work on it. And so you'll have a great research background, and then, fortunately, you will have some conference proceedings or some kind of journal article, and then you can use that to your advantage when you'll be applying for research internship programs in the next summer.
So this is the last question. I think probably I'll cut it out, but then also. So do you think that COVID-19 would affect the foreign internships the next year?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. I don't know. I'm also dreadful of the fact that COVID-19 will affect international travel for sure. And I hope it does not, hit us hard too much. I mean, yeah, there may be cases of universities not taking in as many students, as many international students as they used to. So, I mean, like, that's a really gray, grim area, which I don't know how we'll face it. But, it's always good to be prepared in case you are handed an opportunity. You should have the right amount of skills and the right amount of experience to be able to capitalize on that opportunity. So I would only suggest that you should never stop doing your research. You should always be on the edge to, hunt for that specific opportunity which would be there for you. Then just grab it by both hands.